3 years into his marriage with Liu Ruyan, their marriage certificate accidentally gets ruined by coffee.
Fang Yuan takes the documents to the registry office. The clerk starts typing.
She suddenly looks up. "Sir, your marital status actually shows you are unmarried."
He freezes, completely convinced he just misheard her. He tells her there's a mistake. His wife and he registered right here 3 years ago. The clerk runs the search again. Her face gets pretty weird.
She says the system shows he is definitely single, but Miss Liu Ruyan is legally married.
She pauses. Her registered spouse is actually a completely different man.
His name is Xie Zhiyu. Do you know him?
Fang Yuan feels his mind instantly explode. Honestly, I would lose it too. Everyone knows they are childhood sweethearts.
He was the ultimate white moonlight in her heart, the one she secretly crushed on for years. And Xie Zhiyu was just the substitute she found because she missed Fang Yuan too much while he studied abroad. Fang Yuan tightly clutches the coffee-soaked fake certificate.
He gets into his car. Suddenly, his phone vibrates twice.
A message from Liu Ruyan pops up. "Hubby, I just skipped a $10 billion business deal.
I bought your favorite anime figure and shrimp dumplings because I miss you so much."
"Do you miss me?" He stares at the screen and suddenly laughs out loud.
He laughs, but then tears start streaming down his face. For 3 whole years, she asked him this every single day to show her love. But in reality, she had already legally married another man behind his back. He remembers being sick as a kid, missing kindergarten, and how Liu Ruyan reacted when she realized he was gone. She cried, refused to go to school, insisting on staying home to care for his fever. She told him, "When you are not there, I get too scared alone." On his 15th birthday, she stood under his window in the pouring rain all night, just so she could be the absolute first person to wish him a happy birthday when he woke up. At his 18th coming-of-age party, she planned an amazing surprise under a sky full of fireworks. She hugged him tight and whispered, "Yuan, let us get married when we turn 22, okay?" And when he finally had to go abroad for college, she hugged him with teary eyes. Her voice trembled. "I am only giving you 2 years. The second they are up, I will bring you home." And during those 2 years, she video called him every single day. But once, he was so busy with a paper, he missed her calls for 3 days. When he finally called back, she was hospitalized for depression, crying on screen, "Baby, I cannot live without you." So he constantly comforted her, "I will be home soon, just wait." He did not even tell Liu Ruyan the exact day he was flying back.
He wanted it to be a massive surprise, but when he pushed open her private lounge door,
he finds her sitting in the arms of another guy, kissing passionately. No shot, she really did that? That face looked 70% like his, and the flowers Fang Yuan is holding hit the floor. He turns to leave immediately. Liu Ruyan chases after him like a madwoman. When he ignores her calls, she spams his phone. When he refuses to see her, she stands in the pouring rain downstairs, begging and screaming. It is not what you think.
"You never let me visit you abroad, and I missed you so much, so I just found a substitute."
"I swear we only hugged and kissed. We absolutely did nothing else." "Yuan, I was wrong, but I really do love you to the point of absolute madness." She stood in that rain for 3 days and 3 nights straight until she collapsed from severe pneumonia. He only softened up and forgave her because she refused to leave his side, even after being hospitalized. After that, she treated him just as well as before, right up until they got married. That's when he noticed her new assistant was Xie Zhiyu, the exact substitute she claimed she had already sent away. Once again, she made excuses, claiming the guy's parents were sick and he couldn't handle living out of town. She claimed he begged to return to the capital and just happened to apply for her assistant role. She insisted she was totally clueless, but since his work was decent, she kept him. Plus, since he passed all the interviews, she argued it wouldn't be fair to just fire him. So Fang Yuan let it slide once more, completely unaware that his endless patience was turning him into an absolute joke. But then, as his car pulled into the villa gates, Fang Yuan finally saw things clearly. He took a deep breath to steel himself. But just as he was about to open the door, he heard Liu Ruyan in the living room, talking to her friend, saying she just came back from visiting Xie Zhiyu at the hospital. Her friend says it's just a scratch and tells her to go home and focus on Fang Yuan. Leaning back on the couch with her legs crossed, she reaches over to stub out her friend's cigarette.
Her tone is freezing cold as she warns them that smoking is banned in her house.
She tells them Fang Yuan hates the smell, prompting her friend to call her a total broken record.
Her friend laughs it off, but asks why she married the substitute if she loves Fang Yuan so much. Seriously, was Xie Zhiyu just a replacement? Talk about a messy, drama-filled plot twist right here. The room goes dead silent for a moment before Liu Ruyan finally speaks in a heavy voice. She admits she used to think he was just a rebound, but things changed.
She thought she wouldn't need him once Fang Yuan returned, but after sending him away,
she started dreaming about him every night and couldn't stand the empty space.
So she hired him back as an assistant, claiming she absolutely cannot lose her husband.
But she is hooked on Xie Zhiyu too, wanting Fang Yuan as her legal husband, while keeping the substitute in the shadows as a little side piece. Her friend just sighs. Aren't you worried Fang Yuan will find out? You know what he's like. If he discovers this, you could die in front of him and he'd never look back. Liu Ruyan's eyes darken as she declares she'll just make sure he never finds out. Outside the door, Fang Yuan feels his entire world freeze. He expected to lose his mind. He wanted to storm in and demand answers, but he can barely even breathe. Talk about low-key heartbreaking. So this is what peak heartbreak feels like a piece of his chest is being ripped out. Yet his heart still has to keep beating. He remembers how she kissed his forehead this morning, and how she'd always stumble into his arms after drinking too much at business dinners.
She would cling to him, calling him her sweet husband.
She told him she couldn't live without him while pressing his cold hands to her chest.
She claimed her heart only beat for him, but it was all a sick lie.
On his way home, he actually tried to make excuses for her, wondering if she was forced.
But now he knows the truth. She just wanted to have her cake and eat it too.
She never wanted to choose. She wanted her legal husband and her secret lover at once. She wants both the saint and the sinner. Well, if she's so afraid of him finding out, he is about to show her what it really means to walk away and never look back. He turns around and walks away, immediately making two massive moves. First up, Fang Yuan goes straight to the government office to wipe his entire identity. Step 2, name change. The clerk tells him everything will be finalized in 2 weeks. Fast forward to 2 weeks later. Even if Liu Ruyan searches the ends of the earth, she will never find him. Fang Yuan walks away. Phone buzzing like crazy, endless missed calls from her. He doesn't even reply. By the time he gets back, night has fallen. Immediately, she runs straight to him. She looks incredibly worried, stating she waited for hours, wondering where he went.
Almost turned the whole city upside down.
Fang Yuan just stares, feeling a sudden crush in his chest. High school memories rush back. Once, she literally forfeited a massive math competition just because he didn't reply. She was so terrified of losing him back then. And now, turns out her love wasn't exclusive. Every breath hurts. He quietly tells her he just went shopping and forgot to text. Liu Ruyan finally exhales and hugs him tight. She whispers she isn't mad, just deeply worried. Kissing his cheek gently, she asks about the sweet and sour ribs she promised. Heading straight into the kitchen to cook, he just watches silently. Sleeves rolled up, expertly prepping the meal. The warm lighting makes her look so gentle. His stomach issues were so bad he got hospitalized. A billionaire CEO who had never cooked a day in her life. She spent a whole month training under top chefs for him. Remember that one massive international business conference? She literally cooked while listening to reports on her tablet, dumbfounding her entire board of directors.
Her phone rings.
Instantly, her face drops, knife abandoned. Wiping her hands, she claims there is an office emergency.
She has to run.
Tiptoeing to plant a quick kiss on his forehead. She tells him to eat without her. He just nods. Once she leaves, he approaches the table. The steaming food only brings a sharp, suffocating pain. He saw the caller ID, Xie Zhiyu. Skipping dinner, he grabs a cab and follows. Plot twist, she doesn't go to the office. She pulls up to the hospital VIP ward. The entire floor is cleared, medical staff waiting in silence. Look at this hospital director sweating bullets and bowing down.
He is literally begging President Liu Ruyan for absolute mercy.
All because they let Mr. Xie slip in the bathroom. The director is bowing, promising they will add staff and never slip up again. But Liu Ruyan's face is pitch black, and her cold voice cuts like ice.
She threatens to shut this place down while the director frantically nods along.
While they grovel, Fang Yuan is just standing silently around the corner.
His nails dig into his palm because his friend explicitly told him. Xie Zhiyu only had a minor scratch, but looking at this now,
She booked an entire building for a scratch, and now she is panicking. She is so frantic she wants to flip the hospital as the door opens.
Inside, Xie Zhiyu leans weakly against the bed as Liu Ruyan rushes to his side. She grabs his hand, desperately asking where it still hurts.
Xie Zhiyu holds her hand back, looking at her like a sad, wet puppy. He apologizes for being clumsy, saying getting hit by a car was already bad enough. But now he even slipped in the shower, keeping her from spending time with Fang Yuan.
He asks what if Fang Yuan gets suspicious, blaming himself for everything. She gently tells him to stop talking nonsense. Her voice is incredibly tender as she promises to stay with him these next days. Xie Zhiyu looks up with those puppy eyes and asks about Fang Yuan.
Liu Ruyan indifferently says she will arrange it, before adding they are basically husband and wife anyway.
Asking if it is not natural to stay, which instantly freezes Fang Yuan's blood. Husband and wife? No shot she just said that, but before he can even process it, he watches in shock as Liu Ruyan slides the prayer beads off her wrist.
She gently slides them onto Xie Zhiyu's wrist, telling him not to call himself cursed.
These beads were blessed, and she has worn them for 7 years.
Now she is giving them to him to keep him safe.
Xie Zhiyu is moved to tears and wraps his arms around her. Outside the door, Fang Yuan can feel his vision blurring with tears. He feels like he is drowning, because those exact beads were from when he was 18. He literally kneeled and bowed with every step from the mountain base to the summit temple. It was pouring rain that day, and his knees were bleeding badly. His palms were raw before he finally got the head monk's blessing. When he got back, Liu Ruyan saw his battered state and burst into tears.
She held him tight, her voice trembling as she called his name,
asking if he was crazy and why he would suffer like that for her. He had smiled and slipped the beads onto her wrist, promising they would keep her safe.
She kissed him gently, promising she would wear them for a lifetime.
For 7 long years, she truly never took them off. Not in her biggest business meetings, and not even in their most private moments. Those beads never left her wrist, but now she is giving them away. She is putting them on another man, and his heart feels like it is being carved by a dull knife. The pain is suffocating, proving her lifetime promise only lasted 7 years. He turns and walks away with heavy, trembling steps. Feeling completely numb, he finally gets back home late that night. The moment he steps inside, his phone begins to buzz. A text from Liu Ruyan calls him hubby, claiming there is a company emergency. She says she must fly out of the country, promising to make it up to him. Fang Yuan just stares at the screen, his fingers trembling as they hover over the keyboard. He types out a painful message. Are you really on a business trip or with your husband? But he deletes it character by character. Tears splash onto his screen, low-key heartbreaking. Vision totally blurred, he starts packing. Passports, ID cards, bank cards, basically every single thing that can prove his identity. He packs it all away, and 3 days later, Liu Ruyan finally comes back. She walks through the door holding a massive, gorgeous bouquet of fresh roses. In her other hand are his favorite shrimp dumplings as she smiles warmly for her husband.
She tells him she is home while Fang Yuan just stands frozen in the room.
He quietly watches her walk over and set the flowers and food on the table. She reaches out to hug him, claiming work at the office was just insanely busy. She says she absolutely had to go abroad, or else she would never leave him. Asking if not to be mad, he quietly sidesteps, dodged completely. The tension is insane.
He says he is not mad. He tells her to just focus on her work.
She is visibly taken aback by his coldness, but quickly smiles, saying she is free. She tells him everything is taken care of, and now her only job is to coax him.
Grabbing his hand tightly, her eyes are full of hope and anticipation.
She tells him she prepared a major surprise, not even waiting for his response.
She drags him right into the car, and half an hour later, they arrive.
The car stops right outside a massive concert hall, and Fang Yuan walks inside. He realizes she booked out the entire hall, and the place is packed with people.
The crowd starts whispering the moment they walk in, gossiping about how generous President Liu is.
Booking a whole music hall just for Mr. Fang is wild, but wait, there is more. She flew in his favorite orchestra from abroad to perform a private show just for him all day. Booking them costs at least $1 billion. She is literally a walking cheat code with that money. But honestly, that is nothing compared to how famously she spoils her husband. Standing under the brilliant lights, Fang Yuan is surrounded by everyone looking at him with envy. He sees her gentle, smiling face, but his heart feels like it is completely frozen in ice. So cold it hurts, she gives him this grand, romantic gesture.
But she gives another man a legal marriage. She lets him live in everyone's envious gaze.
While keeping someone else on her marriage certificate, Fang Yuan quietly sits in the VIP section. Beautiful music fills his ears, and he is staring right at her gentle, smiling face. She gently adjusts his shawl and asks in a soft whisper if he is cold. He shakes his head but winces as a sharp wave of stomach pain hits him. She immediately notices and asks if his stomach is hurting while he struggles with the pain. He nods, and she gently places her hand on his stomach, asking if it hurts badly. She suggests leaving. He just shakes his head. Realizing she cannot change his mind, she quickly calls her assistant to bring some stomach medicine.
During this entire time, her focus is completely locked on him.
Constantly asking how he is feeling and if he needs some hot water. Or maybe a warm blanket. She is acting so unbelievably caring. It is almost as if he is still the most beloved man in her life. Half an hour later, someone rushes over and softly calls out for President Liu. They have brought the items. Both Fang Yuan and Liu Ruyan turn around at the same time. It is actually Xie Zhiyu. He's holding a paper bag, his hair still damp from the rain. Still looking pale as a ghost, Xie Zhiyu stands there as Liu Ruyan's expression instantly sours. Who even told you to come, she demands. Did I not call Lin Fan instead? Xie Zhiyu bites his lip, whimpering. Assistant Lin was busy with a project, and I was so worried Mr. Fang was hurting. Plus, I did not want you waiting around anxiously, so I just rushed over. He carefully hands over the paper bag, adding that the rain outside is coming down incredibly hard. I totally forgot my umbrella, but please do not worry. I kept the medicine completely safe. Not a single drop of rain touched it. Liu Ruyan's expression shifts before she finally takes the bag and passes it to her husband. She offers to help him get some hot water, but Fang Yuan remains completely silent. He takes his medicine and slips into the restroom to wait. The wife who promised to wait outside for him is already nowhere to be found. Suddenly, he hears strange whispers coming from the adjacent stall and goes to check it out. And then, boom, there is Liu Ruyan pinned against the sink by Xie Zhiyu, kissing him passionately. She barely tries to resist, whispering that her husband is still waiting out there. But I have missed you so much, Xie Zhiyu mutters in a deep, needy tone. Forget it. I already know that I mean absolutely nothing to you. Even though I got completely drenched in the rain just to bring him medicine, I understand. Your eyes only have room for him, Xie Zhiyu whines, his voice cracking with tears. I only want you to be happy, he whimpers, which instantly melts her heart. She wraps her arms around his neck, kissing him deeply as he lets out a soft groan. She chuckles softly in a gentle voice, teasingly asking if he is seriously turned on already? Blushing, Xie Zhiyu pushes her away, saying she should go back to Fang Yuan while he handles things himself. Oh, and how exactly? She asks with a teasing chuckle. This kind of thing is much better with a woman's touch, she whispers, sliding her hand down. Next comes the rustle of clothes, followed by Xie Zhiyu's heavy, suppressed breathing. Be good, Liu Ruyan coos softly. I know just how badly you want me right now. At this point, Fang Yuan is standing outside, his heart literally breaking in two. He suddenly remembers their very first kiss, back when they were only 18. Under a sky filled with bright fireworks, she looked into his eyes and gently called him a Yuan. She asked if she could kiss him, and he just nodded with a bright red face. She stood on her tiptoes, kissing him as if he were the most fragile treasure in the world.
He remembers their first night, trying to be so gentle. Terrified of hurting her, but she had only smiled and shaken her head. Instead, she pulled him close, wrapping herself completely around him.
She promised he was her only one.
The only one who could make her feel safe, yet now here she is in a restroom. Using her hands to please another man. Oh, Liu Ruyan, how could you do this? Complete betrayal. His heart is literally being torn to pieces. Stumbling backward in sheer shock, the agony is so sharp he can barely even stand. Accidentally bumping into a decorative vase, a sharp voice suddenly demands to know who is there. Recognizing his wife's icy tone, Fang Yuan panics and runs right before she rushes out. But the hallway's empty, save for a stray orange cat sitting in the corner. It was just an orange cat.
Xie Zhiyu catches up, softly urging her to go back and check on her husband.
Xie Zhiyu pretends he'll just grab a cab, but Liu Ruyan instantly frowns. Like, look at this storm! Stay by my side, she demands.
He whispers, "What about Mr. Fang? Isn't he your husband?"
Liu Ruyan hugs his neck, but Xie Zhiyu just hangs his head. He looks downcast.
She leads him back inside.
When they enter, Fang Yuan is still sitting in his seat. He's quietly listening.
She pulls Xie Zhiyu down, making up a fake excuse.
It's pouring outside. He loves music.
Fang Yuan just hums. Throughout the concert, Liu Ruyan showers Fang Yuan with fake care, asking if he's cold.
She whispers, asking if he wants to leave early.
But Fang Yuan knows she's tightly holding Xie Zhiyu's hand underneath. He remembers 16. On a snowy winter night, she climbed to his balcony. She stretched out her frozen, bright red hands. Warm them up for me.
He teased her, but still held her hands tightly.
She squeezed back. Back then, she only loved him. Now, she's holding two hands. A single tear escapes his eye. She asks what's wrong, but Fang Yuan just smiles silently. He whispers that the music is too moving. She chuckles. He stays silent. Once the concert ends, the real drama starts. The crowd leaves, but she refuses to let him go. She has her staff wheel out massive classical instruments, even a rare violin. So I bought them all. Do you like them? The staff chimes in. President Liu went all out. She spent a massive fortune. Others are borrowed from museums. Xie Zhiyu stands there jealous. A dark look flashes in his eyes. Fang Yuan smiles. Suddenly, Xie Zhiyu reaches out. He curiously yanks a decorative rope. Staff faces go pale.
But it is too late. Instantly, the heavy lighting rig comes crashing straight down. She grabs Xie Zhiyu. She shields him, leaving Fang Yuan standing completely frozen. He watches helplessly.
He falls into a pool of blood, consciousness fading.
Her panicked screams echo around the hall, but he knows she is holding someone else in her arms.
Fang Yuan falls into a dream where they are 14. With a bruised mouth, she still smiles so damn proudly. As he dabs medicine on her cuts, his eyes are red, yelling if she's lost her mind. You're a girl. Why on earth would you pick fights with a bunch of guys? I know you're a black belt, but even if you're Ultraman, you can't fight like that. She just shrugs it off with a smirk. Who told those guys to bully you? No one gets to pick on you, not under my watch. Her eyes are dead serious as she says, even though I'm a girl, you're my husband. As long as I'm here, I won't let you get a single scratch. In his dream, Fang Yuan is crying his eyes out, desperately calling her name, Liu Ruyan. Why are you always so good to me? But she acts like she can't even hear. She holds his 14-year-old hand and walks away. But then, boom, the scene abruptly flips. In reality, Liu Ruyan shields Xie Zhiyu, leaving Fang Yuan completely exposed to get crushed. As blood stains his vision, he wakes up shivering from the cold. Tears have already soaked his pillow, and he's still completely dazed. The next second, he spots Xie Zhiyu in the hospital room, covering his face in fake guilt. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have pulled that rope if I hadn't done it. Mr. Fang wouldn't have gotten hurt. I'll do literally anything to make it up to you. Liu Ruyan helplessly wipes away his tears, asking if he's serious, and Xie Zhiyu nods. Yes, I messed up, so I have to take responsibility. Otherwise, I won't be able to sleep.
At this point, Liu Ruyan literally chuckles and hugs him, telling him to call her wife.
Xie Zhiyu freezes, looking away in total embarrassment. He whispers the word wife, and Liu Ruyan gently ruffles his hair. Her voice is incredibly soft. Since you called me wife, you have to listen to me.
I have my own ways of handling this whole situation, so don't worry about it.
Xie Zhiyu finally leaves, while Fang Yuan quietly watches this entire sick show from his bed. His fingers accidentally brush against the water cup on the nightstand. Clack! Liu Ruyan whips her head around and finally realizes he is wide awake. She quickly rushes over, her eyes full of panic and concern for A Yuan.
How are you feeling? Does it hurt anywhere?
She tightly squeezes his hand, her voice dripping with deep regret.
Ain't no way. She actually claims she just mistook him for you? Fang Yuan closes his eyes, choosing not to expose her blatant lie. He just quietly asks where Xie Zhiyu is, making Liu Ruyan's face instantly stiffen.
Assuming he wants to start trouble, she immediately defends her side piece, saying he didn't mean it.
But since he was in the wrong, I've already punished him very severely.
Fang Yuan thinks back to how she just let that guy call her wife.
Honestly, if that's your definition of punishment, then yeah, it's extremely brutal. But he says absolutely nothing, refusing to angrily demand why she mistook them. He doesn't even throw a fit about her obvious bias, simply stating that he's hungry.
Liu Ruyan freezes, staring straight into his eyes.
She finally senses that something is off. He is way too calm. He's quiet, like stagnant water, and she parts her lips, wanting to say something. But Fang Yuan just repeats that he's hungry, completely breaking her train of thought.
She can only swallow her rising anxiety and nod gently. Okay, husband, I'll get you food.
She grabs her keys and hurries out, leaving him alone as the door clicks shut. Right then, Fang Yuan just breaks down, his tears finally spilling over. But he wipes them away instantly and stares out the window. Blinding sunlight outside, but absolutely none of it reaches his heart. Real love is messy, hysterical, and constantly walking on eggshells. But now he feels absolutely nothing for her, even as she cancels all her work. She stays by his hospital bed 24/7, literally spoon-feeding him. Applying his medicine, she even wakes up in the dead of night to check his blankets. Yet he remains dead silent.
By discharge day, Liu Ruyan feels like they are still completely broken.
So she throws this massive party to celebrate his recovery. The venue is gorgeous, with towers of champagne stacked all the way to the ceiling. Guests are everywhere, glasses are clinking, and the crowd is buzzing with gossip. They are all whispering that President Liu spoils Mr. Fang to the core with these rare, limited edition gifts. Some of them were even bought at crazy premium auctions, saying Mr. Fang is so lucky. But standing in the center of the crowd, Fang Yuan does not even smile. Honestly, the audacity of this woman is wild. She drags him to a corner to ask if he's still mad. She gently strokes his wrist, pleading that she swears she is sorry. Swearing that she genuinely mistook him for someone else, she begs to know how to fix this. Begging him to name anything she can do, she waits, but he just stares. Then he suddenly laughs. Fine, fire Xie Zhiyu right now. Liu Ruyan hesitates, her expression faltering as she tries to soften her tone. She argues that Xie Zhiyu has sick parents and a struggling family. Asking why he has to be so ruthless, she watches him stay completely silent. Like she just said she would do anything, but the second it involves Xie Zhiyu, talk about a double standard. She instantly backtracks, but just as Fang Yuan is about to speak, boom! Liu Ruyan's phone starts ringing, and of course it is Xie Zhiyu. He's screaming on the other end, begging her to save him. He claims some thugs are after him and threatening to end his life. She completely loses it, demanding to know where he is. But the line goes dead. She desperately calls back, but the call will not go through. Her gaze snaps back to Fang Yuan, her eyes shifting from panic to absolute suppressed anger.
She demands to know where Xie Zhiyu is, her voice tightening up.
Barely holding back her temper, she lets out a breath, while Fang Yuan feels his chest tighten.
She does not believe him for a second, not even bothering to check the facts.
Already putting the blame entirely on him, she makes him whisper if she truly suspects him.
She rubs her temples, claiming it is not about suspicion.
Mentioning that Xie Zhiyu just called about being targeted, she is shocked when Fang Yuan asks, "So what?"
Fang Yuan shakes as he asks if she thinks he did it, and she goes dead silent. She mumbles that she is not saying that, but it is a literal emergency. He laughs bitterly at how one call from that guy makes her panic like this. With cold eyes, he demands to know what her relationship with Xie Zhiyu really is.
She frowns, snapping that a life is on the line and this is no time for jealousy.
Jealous? His voice is barely a whisper as he asks if she really thinks this is just jealousy. Liu Ruyan takes a deep breath, trying to calm down and calling out his name.
She swears there was nothing between them, but she is completely losing her mind because Xie Zhiyu is supposedly in danger. She demands to know if Fang Yuan is behind it, but our boy immediately cuts her off, insisting it wasn't him.
Every accusation feels like a dagger to his chest as he warns her that he's only saying it one last time.
He has absolutely no clue where her precious white moonlight is, and he never touched a single hair on his head. Liu Ruyan just glares at him, and honestly, the sheer desperation and panic in her eyes is getting out of hand.
As the minutes tick by, Xie Zhiyu still is not picking up his phone, sending her anxiety into overdrive.
Finally, losing all her patience, she brutally grabs Fang Yuan by the wrist with zero regard for him. She squeezes so hard his bones almost shatter, claiming she already punished Xie Zhiyu and begging him to stop. She actually asks why he is being so ruthless, warning him that he will face legal consequences if Xie Zhiyu dies.
Saying she has no time for his games, she demands to know exactly where Xie Zhiyu is hiding.
Fang Yuan is turning pale from the sheer pain, but he stubbornly repeats that he has no idea. Even if she asks 1,000 times, his answer stays the same, which completely triggers Liu Ruyan.
She tells him she wishes they had never met and violently flings his hand away like he is trash.
He stumbles backward from the force, his lower back slamming violently right into the sharp edge of a table. His forehead gashes open against a sharp metal ornament and blood instantly starts pouring down his face.
The entire crowd gasps in horror, shouting that Fang Yuan is seriously hurt and bleeding.
But does she care? No shot. She does not even look back as she cold-heartedly storms out of the room. She immediately dials her phone, barking orders to pull up the security footage of where Xie Zhiyu was last seen. While she hunts for her white moonlight, Fang Yuan uses the table to drag his broken body back up. Warm, sticky blood keeps dripping down his temple, completely soaking his face. Honestly, he can't even feel the physical pain anymore because his heart is already completely shattered. A cut on his face is nothing compared to this betrayal as he stares blankly at the door she walked through. He just laughs to himself, because of course she does not care. Her entire world revolves around Xie Zhiyu now.
Just like how her eyes used to look at him back then, and now guests are panicking, trying to take him to the hospital.
But he just quietly shakes his head, pushing away their hands because he is done with all of this. He walks out of the banquet hall all by himself, and right as he steps through the doors, there is a massive crash. A loud shattering noise echoes behind him, making Fang Yuan slowly turn his head back around to look. On the floor lies the golden plaque that read, "Liu Ruyan loves Fang Yuan for a lifetime."
It has fallen from the wall, shattered completely into 2 pieces. Talk about some crazy symbolic timing.
He stares at the broken ruins of their promise and literally just starts laughing out loud. But the laughter quickly turns into tears as he realizes just how cheap her promise of a lifetime really was. Going back to his empty home, he silently cleans the blood and bandages his forehead in absolute silence. Now he starts packing up his life, starting with all the figures and gifts she ever bought him. The matching rings, the luxury watches, and every single handwritten card she gave him over the years. Their couple albums and literally every single trace of her existence in this apartment. He packs it all into heavy cardboard boxes and carries them down to the dumpster, trip after trip. As he tosses the very last box, a freezing gust of wind sweeps snow right across his pale face.
Standing there beneath the dim streetlight, he cannot help but feel how ridiculously pathetic it all is.
Everything he once protected like treasure is now literally sitting in a pile of rotting garbage. But right as he turns around to head back inside, a black sack is suddenly shoved over his head. Before he can even process what is happening, a brutal blow strikes the back of his neck.
Darkness instantly takes over as he completely passes out on the cold pavement.
When he finally wakes up, he is still trapped inside the pitch-black sack. Talk about a nightmare scenario. His hands are tightly bound behind his back, and a thick cloth gag is stuffed into his mouth.
Peeking through a tiny tear in the fabric, he sees Liu Ruyan standing right next to Xie Zhiyu.
Lounging on her high sofa, she is completely surrounded by towering bodyguards. A bodyguard bows. "We got him, boss."
This is the thug Fang Yuan hired to bully your precious boyfriend.
Clinging to Liu Ruyan's hand, Xie Zhiyu whimpers her name in mock terror. "Maybe let it go, Ruyan." Liu Ruyan sneers. "No shot." Gently caressing his face, her voice turns incredibly tender, saying she could never bear to see him hurt. "But since that bastard dared to touch you, she must give him justice."
She decides to make an absolute example out of these thugs.
To ensure he never dares to cross her again, while Fang Yuan feels a sudden chill. Honestly, this villain is next-level toxic. Fang Yuan finally realizes this was all a setup. Xie Zhiyu faked the beating, then paid off thugs to kidnap him. He lied to Liu Ruyan, framing Fang Yuan as the mastermind, just so she would destroy him. He struggles wildly. Gagged and helpless, he can't scream her name. He can only whimper, while Xie Zhiyu fake sighs. He begs her to go easy, but her gaze instantly freezes. No one gets to touch her man. She promises to make him wish he was dead. They drag him straight to a high platform. Overlooking a freezing pool, they shove a heavy sack over his head. Tied with ropes, they shove him off the edge, sending him crashing into the icy water. The violent impact feels like a heavy sledgehammer shattering his chest. Water forces its way into his lungs. Choking in darkness, his lungs burn like they are being stabbed by endless needles. Agony forces his body to curl up as his muffled screams are swallowed by the water. The waterlogged sack grows heavier by the second. It drags him down like solid lead. But the ropes tighten, slowly cutting off his last bit of air. Just as his mind starts to fade, the rope suddenly jerks tight. He is yanked back up, choking wildly. Coughing up bloody water, he tries to breathe, but they give him no time. He is pushed right back under, again and again. Every plunge feels like an icy grave, and every pull-up feels like being skinned alive. Over and over, pure torture. Fang Yuan's mind goes completely numb, with nothing but a deafening ringing in his ears. His lungs burn like fire, feeling on the verge of exploding. Pulled up yet again, Xie Zhiyu finally acts merciful and begs her to stop. But Liu Ruyan just sneers. Not yet. Grabbing a steel pipe from a guard, she walks straight toward him. She declares that anyone who touches her man pays the ultimate price, striking his back. His entire body arches violently like a shocked shrimp. White-hot pain explodes from his spine, instantly ripping through every single nerve in his body. He bites down hard on the gag, but a muffled groan still escapes. Strike after strike, completely relentless. Every brutal blow feels like it is shattering his bones and tearing his organs apart. Fang Yuan can feel the warm blood dripping down his chin. 19 brutal strikes left him completely broken. He is so numb, he cannot even feel the pain anymore. His vision fades into pure darkness. It feels like a meat grinder before the final strike lands. Now he slumps on the cold ground like a discarded rag doll as blood pools around him, staining the cold floor deep red. Suddenly, she grounds her sharp heel right into his exposed fingers. His bones shatter with a sickening crack. He cannot even scream as she pulls her foot back, satisfied. She turns and throws herself into Xie Zhiyu's arms while he strokes her hair. She asks if her violence scared him. Promising no one will ever bother him, she waves her guards. "Toss him out like trash," she commands. They walk away without looking back, her high heels making a squelching sound in blood. The gag in his mouth finally loosens, giving him a chance. He gasps out her name, Ruyan. That weak, desperate cry actually makes her steps freeze. Right on cue, the rival fake faints. He complains of a sudden headache, forcing her focus back. Dismissing her husband's voice as a mere trick, she anxiously grabs the other man's hand. She quickly rushes him to the hospital. Leaving without looking back, Fang Yuan laughs bitterly behind them. Tears and warm blood mix on his face as he desperately wishes she would look.
Just one glance was all it took.
To know this half-dead man was once her beloved husband. But her eyes only see the rival. When Fang Yuan finally wakes up, he finds himself dumped on the cold villa floor.
His bones feel completely shattered as he struggles to crawl up.
Each tiny movement rips his back open.
His broken fingers are swollen and bruised, a horrific, terrifying shade of deep purple.
Suddenly, his phone vibrates and his mangled hands shake uncontrollably. It is a text from his wife. She claims she was just protecting him from making a mistake. She acts as if nothing happened, telling him she has to stay at the hospital.
She is taking care of Xie Zhiyu. Reading this, Fang Yuan literally laughs until he starts crying. She ordered him beaten half to death, but still has the nerve to call him husband. She does not even know he is missing. But the second text is different.
It is the official government approval.
His request for identity cancellation and name change is complete. He is finally free to leave. Supporting his broken body, he changes into clean clothes. He slowly grabs his pre-packed suitcase, completely ready to abandon this toxic place forever, leaving only two things behind him. The first item he packs is the couple's necklace Liu Ruyan gave him at 18.
Inside the pendant is a hidden camera. Back then, she told him she loved him.
I need to know what you were doing every single second of the day.
Honestly, she is pure evil. What he once thought was sweet is just disturbing. She probably hasn't checked the footage in ages, but if she did, she would see the truth. She is the absolute monster who repeatedly pushed him off high platforms and then beat him 99 times. She personally crushed his bones with her feet, and the second item is the thick stack of her old love letters. A thick stack of yellowing paper filled with her absolute lies. It still has her teenage handwriting saying, "Yuan, I saw you in a white shirt today." My heart is beating so fast, I think I might die. Yuan, let's marry right after I graduate, okay? I cannot wait another single day. Yuan, I will love you for a lifetime. Loving only you, Fang Yuan gently runs his fingers over her old handwriting.
He suddenly remembers her crying at 18, holding him tight and saying she could not live without him.
Without you, I cannot survive. Those beautiful promises that once kept him up all night with a racing heart. Now every single word is just a cruel joke. Fang Yuan leaves the necklace and letters on the table. He turns around and walks out without looking back, throwing his old phone straight into a roadside trash can, burying his entire painful past with it, because starting today, everything is over. Trust me, there is no longer a man in this world who will cry for her. The old Fang Yuan is gone, and his plane finally takes off. Looking out the window at the shrinking city lights below, he gets a sudden, hazy vision of her at 18.
She is standing in the clouds, smiling, but then an agonizing pain explodes in his head.
The vision shatters, and he bites his lip hard to stop from screaming. Metallic blood fills his mouth, and the woman next to him asks if he is okay. The woman next to him puts down her magazine, instantly noticing the cold sweat dripping down his pale face. Fang Yuan just shakes his head, burying his face deep into his thick scarf. It still smells faintly like that awful damp basement. It is just a cheap scarf he bought quickly at the airport. I am fine. His voice is barely a whisper. I am just a little airsick. The woman, Bai Ningbing, studies him and senses that something is deeply wrong here. He is wearing a camel coat that looks way too large for his fragile body. There is a clear ring mark on his left finger, but his right hand is twisted in a horrible way. But what is truly terrifying is that even in a warm cabin of 26 degrees,
he cannot stop shaking, so she tells him she is actually a doctor. Bai Ningbing hands him a tissue, gently noting that his color is incredibly poor.
As he takes the paper, she spots the massive dark bruises lining the very inside of his wrists. Those are distinct restraint marks, and the doctor immediately realizes what she is looking at here. This is definitely no ordinary abuse case. He whispers a soft thank you while clutching the tissue tightly.
But he does not use it because he cannot leave any biological trace behind.
Especially not now, but once this plane touches down, he will finally be free.
Even if Liu Ruyan tears the entire world apart, she will never find him again. Suddenly, a sharp, agonizing pain tears through his stomach like a blade. His vision goes completely black as warm blood begins to pour heavily from his nose. He reaches up to touch his face, only to find his fingers covered in blood. Bai Ningbing rips off her seatbelt, shouting to the flight attendants that they need immediate medical help. Through his fading vision, Fang Yuan can only see her hands reaching toward him. Swiftly unbuttoning his collar, but everything suddenly feels so warm and strange. Bro, out of all times, he actually remembers Liu Ruyan's hands right now. They felt exactly like this last night. As Xie Zhiyu's collar is loosened, Fang Yuan feels like countless hands are lifting him up. Like a fallen leaf drifting in a stormy sea, he remembers the exact feeling of being pushed into the pool. The sharp sting of freezing water filling his lungs and the rough sack burning against his cheeks. But the worst pain is Liu Ruyan's cold warning. Anyone who dares touch my man will pay the price. Every single word sliced through his heart like a dull blade, dragging him into his final moments. Fang Yuan hears his own raspy laughter. God, how absolutely ironic. No shot. The very ribs Liu Ruyan shattered herself are literally piercing his lungs right now. She always said she'd protect him from any harm, but in the end, she's the one who hurt him the most. As the cabin lights flicker overhead, Bai Ningbing's shirt is already completely soaked with sweat. This complete stranger is literally slipping away right in front of her. But some unexplainable instinct tells her she absolutely cannot just stand by and watch. While Kong Cheng whispers to ask if it's an emergency, the comatose Fang Yuan suddenly starts seizing violently. Bai Ningbing pins him down and barks at Kong Cheng to contact the airport for an ambulance immediately. The patient has multiple fractures and internal bleeding, but before she can even finish, he suddenly grabs her wrist, his unfocused eyes miraculously locking onto hers for a split second. Bai Ningbing sees a terrifying, cold determination burning deep inside them.
No hospital, Fang Yuan gasps, and with every single word.
Bloody foam spills from his lips, leaving Bai Ningbing completely stunned. Nodding almost on instinct, she tells him she has a private clinic in the suburbs. He finally wakes up to the sharp smell of disinfectant, with soft sunlight filtering onto his sheets.
Fang Yuan stares blankly at the ceiling, completely unable to tell if this is reality or a dream.
Until a gentle female voice drifts over from the side, asking if he's awake. He whips his head around to meet a pair of calm eyes. She's holding his medical chart. Seeing him awake, she casually snaps it shut and speaks with quiet composure. You had severe internal bleeding and blacked out on the plane, so I did emergency surgery. She asks how he's feeling, and Fang Yuan instinctively reaches down to touch his abdomen. The worst of the pain is faded, but a dull, lingering ache still throbs beneath his skin. He parts his dry lips, coughing out a raspy thank you. She nods gently, handing him a warm cup of water and introducing herself as Bai Ningbing. She's a doctor, and this is her highly secure private clinic. The cup feels warm in his hands. Fang Yuan's fingertips unconsciously trace the warm glass. He looks down, keeping quiet for a long moment. My name is Fang Yuan, he whispers, and just like that, he begins his recovery at her clinic. Bai Ningbing does her daily rounds, but besides the standard medical questions,
She never pries into his personal life until one afternoon during a bandage change.
a nurse accidentally bumps into the tray, sending metal instruments clattering loudly onto the floor. The sharp noise makes Fang Yuan flinch violently, his body instinctively curling into a ball. Bai Ningbing's hands freeze in midair as she watches him protectively guard his broken ribs. Her gaze sweeps over the dark bruises on his wrists. These wounds are definitely not from an accident, she says. Fang Yuan's breath hitches in his throat, but Bai Ningbing doesn't press for answers.
She simply adjusts his collar with a quiet touch. If you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to.
But if you ever need serious help, I have lawyers and police connections who can step in. Fang Yuan just grips his sheets and shakes his head. Bai Ningbing drops the subject, but just as she turns to leave, Fang Yuan suddenly calls out, "Thank you." She turns back, silently meeting his gaze. A faint smile flickers across his pale face as he says, but really there is no need. Life at the quiet sanatorium almost feels completely unreal as his body slowly recovers. One afternoon, he passes the meeting room.
He hears Binding Bing arguing with clients.
But market data shows a 30% inflated valuation. He freezes. Guided by instinct, he pushes the door right open. Everyone stares, and Binding Bing frowns as he points to the financial report. Page 3 cash flow is wrong, he says.
They hit a chunk of their debt, and if calculated like this,
The actual valuation must be slashed. The room goes dead silent. She just stares. Keep going, she says, and the next day she offers him a contract. The deal is done.
she offers him a strategic consultant job, catching him off guard.
Aren't you afraid I am a spy? He chuckles as she leans against the desk.
I checked your background, she replies calmly.
My gut tells me you are highly trustworthy, even though I found nothing.
Meanwhile, back with the toxic ex, you are going to hate her. Disinfectant is masked by fresh lilies.
Liu Ruyan sits by the bedside, holding a steaming bowl of chicken soup.
Drink up, she coaxes him. She gently brings the spoon to his pale lips, her voice incredibly sweet.
I simmered this for 4 hours just for you, she says softly. He smirked.
He sips, eyes casting soft shadows.
Won't Mr. Fang be upset with you here accompanying me? He asks.
He won't mind, she snaps back, trying to convince herself.
Yuan is always the most sensible, she adds.
But as she sets the bowl down, the spoon clinks sharply against the glass. The noise pierces her temple.
Wait, it has been 3 whole days?
3 days with absolutely no news from Fang Yuan. She pulls out her phone, checking their messages.
Her texts go from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., asking if he's still mad.
No reply. Even her calls this morning went unanswered. Just lonely green chat bubbles sitting there. She abruptly stands up, knocking her stool over in a panic.
She dials again.
Only the robotic operator answers, repeating that the call cannot be connected.
The echo is eerie in the empty stairwell.
She immediately rings her assistant, ordering him to go check the villa.
She hesitates to admit she is panicking about Fang Yuan.
Just check the security gate, she commands him.
Half an hour later, the assistant texts back that everything looks normal.
Except, the kitchen garbage disposal hasn't been run in 3 days. The smart home logs show the last activity was the exact day he left. Hearing this, Liu Ruyan freezes as her breath hitches. Fang Yuan was a total neat freak who never left trash overnight.
As she scans her fingerprint, the familiar hallway sensor light instantly flickers on.
But inside, it is pitch black. Not a single light was left on for her.
The entire villa is dead silent as she calls out his name.
Her voice echoes through the massive empty living room, met with absolute silence.
Even that faint, familiar scent of roses in the air is completely gone.
Instead, there is only a cold, empty void as she stands at the master bedroom door. Her heart starts racing like crazy as a wave of pure dread creeps in.
But when she slowly pushes the door open, what she sees next is wild.
It makes her eyes widen in shock. The wardrobe is completely cleared out. Every single piece of his clothing is gone, along with his cologne.
His sunglasses, his things, even their framed couple photo on the nightstand is gone.
Now, only a cold, empty frame sits there all by itself. Her stomach drops instantly as she rushes over to his study. She yanks open the drawer. His passport and ID are missing. His bank cards, every single trace of his existence, completely wiped out. Only 2 things are left on the table, a necklace and a yellowed love letter.
With trembling hands, she picks up the necklace she gave him for his 18th birthday. He never once took it off in all these years, but now he's gone.
Seeing it left behind like this, she dreads the absolute worst-case scenario. Terrified, she grabs her phone and dials her assistant again. Find out where Fang Yuan went right now. Use every connection we have.
Dig up the entire city if you have to, she demands as the assistant obeys.
The line goes quiet, filled only with the frantic clacking of a keyboard. Honestly, I bet she's never felt seconds drag on this painfully before.
Finally, the assistant speaks up, sounding extremely hesitant. President Liu?
Mr. Fang's government identity has been completely deleted? Deleted? No shot.
Why on earth would he delete his identity? What happened while she was gone?
The absolute panic in her eyes is unreal as she tries to process this.
Her hands clench so tightly that her knuckles turn completely white.
The sharp pain in her palm suddenly snaps her back. Right, the necklace. There might be a hidden tracker or clue inside it about where he went.
She runs back to check the security footage, but what she sees next? Absolutely insane.
Her mind goes completely blank as she sees Xie Zhiyu standing on a high ledge. He has a cold, evil smirk while a tied-up sack next to him struggles.
The moment the fabric slips off, she finally sees the person's face.
Liu Ruyan stops breathing entirely. The face on the screen is deathly pale. With messy hair and blood dripping from his mouth, it is Fang Yuan.
He's looking directly at the camera, his lips trembling.
He tries to say something, but is brutally shoved off the edge.
The loud splash of water echoes, leaving her with nothing but a deafening silence.
She grips the necklace so hard, her knuckles turn completely white. Blood wells up in her throat as a horrifying realization hits her.
He drags the video progress bar, and his finger suddenly freezes.
The villain's smug grin on the screen is so obvious, almost like he's directly mocking Liu Ruyan's stupidity.
He stares dead at this suddenly unfamiliar face as his breathing grows heavy.
Right then, his phone buzzes with an urgent call from the hospital.
His assistant starts talking from the other end, but gets cut off instantly.
With a raspy, broken voice, he snaps that he's coming over right now. Tires screech as another audio clip plays. Don't worry, he won't find out. I destroyed that loser's medical records a long time ago, so we're safe. The villa security footage is completely wiped too. Honestly, he brought this on himself. He got what he deserved. Every toxic word acts like a poisoned needle, shattering his last self-deceiving hope.
His heart is in pieces. Suddenly, he slams the ward door wide open.
Liu Ruyan stands at the doorway, his face looking absolutely terrifying.
Xie Zhiyu's phone clatters to the ground as he stammers, "Ruyan, how do you know about Fang Yuan?"
Liu Ruyan's voice drops to a deadly whisper, sounding like a demon straight from hell. Xie Zhiyu turns pale as a ghost, his trembling fingers clutching tightly onto the bedsheet.
I have no idea what you're saying. What person in a sack?
Liu Ruyan grabs his wrist with a grip so violent it could literally crush bone.
You knew it was him all along, didn't you? Tears instantly spill down Xie Zhiyu's face.
He begs that it hurts, but Liu Ruyan completely ignores him. His bloodshot eyes lock onto him. Xie Zhiyu stammers, "I only did it because I love you."
His voice is broken with terror. I was just so afraid he would steal you away.
I had no choice. Liu Ruyan just glares down at him with pure disgust. He stares at Xie Zhiyu, then abruptly releases his grip. It's like he touched something filthy. His cold gaze sweeps across the room. And then, boom, he spots a fruit knife on the nightstand, its blade reflecting his twisted, angry face. The cold metal also reflects Xie Zhiyu's terrified eyes as he frantically scrambles backward. The IV stand crashes down, cut to Liu Ruyan's office under cold fluorescent lights. Spread out on his desk are countless files detailing everything that has happened. Specifically how Xie Zhiyu secretly drove a massive wedge between him and Fang Yuan. Right next to those files is a stack of reports from a private investigator. Photos, audio recordings, and bank transfers. There are even confessions from the hired thugs admitting that Xie Zhiyu employed them. They say they were paid to put on a show and pretend to protect him. None of it was real. He just needed President Liu to buy the whole act. They got bonus cash afterward. Liu Ruyan's knuckles turn white gripping the paper. This is wild. The entire tragedy was just a sick, self-directed play by Xie Zhiyu. And Liu Ruyan was stupid enough to push his true love into the abyss. When the bodyguards drag Xie Zhiyu in, the snake still has a fake smile ready. He asks why he was called over so urgently, but before he can finish, a stack of files slams directly into his face. Explain, Liu Ruyan demands, cold as ice. The papers scatter everywhere, and Xie Zhiyu looks down in a panic. The moment he spots the photos and bank statements, his fake smile completely freezes.
He desperately scrambles to pick them up, crying out that he can explain.
His fingers shake violently as he claims someone is trying to frame him.
It must be Fang Yuan. He hates me, so he set this up.
Liu Ruyan stares down the man in front of her, coldly calm. She grabs a voice recorder from her drawer and hits play. That trash got what he deserved.
Who told him to play dumb? Xie Zhiyu's voice echoes right through the office.
Total venom. His face instantly turns completely pale. This guy tries to squeeze out a fake smile while throwing the files aside. He creeps over to Liu Ruyan and begs, "Ruyan, you have to believe me." "I swear I didn't do any of it," he claims, facing her stone-cold stare. His breathing gets totally frantic as he pleads, "Please just trust me."
I love you so much. Liu Ruyan just scoffs, completely unimpressed. She grabs his chin. This revenge is already so satisfying to watch. Doesn't that make you sick? But then he snaps. You think you're an angel?
Xie Zhiyu glares up. His fake innocence is gone. Now it's pure twisted rage. Liu Ruyan, you're the one who started this. You used me as a substitute and made me think you actually cared.
He literally points right at her face, letting out a venomous laugh.
You were too blind to tell real from fake, so who's this performance for? Fang Yuan abandoned you ages ago. He'd rather throw away everything and run. Just to avoid you. Her pupils contract in shock.
It feels like a massive punch to her chest as he mocks her even harder.
You want to know what he left behind? That necklace you gave him? The spy footage inside proved every brutal blow came from you. Honestly, this twist is wild. She suddenly cracks a creepy smile.
She slowly stands up and walks right over to him.
Tiptoeing, she gently cups his cheek like a loving partner. Her eyes are terrifying. You are absolutely right. I was blind, she whispers. So now it's time to fix my mistake before he can even process this. The office door slams open and two massive bodyguards march straight inside. They bind him tightly with heavy ropes as his eyes go wide with fear. Nearly knocked flat, he screams, "Liu Ruyan, you can't do this to me!"
I can pay back all the money, but she just steps back, totally unfazed.
Watching him get pinned, she sneers. You think I care? She leans in close, her voice sounding like a hissing viper. Talk about a massive payoff. Now she's visiting him in the asylum. Under the freezing fluorescent lights, she stands holding the case files. Files containing every dark secret of his over the years. Embezzlement, business fraud, assault, and even the calculated plot to frame her true love. Fang Yuan. The door swings open. Inside, Xie Zhiyu curls in the corner, bandages wrapping his face. Self-inflicted scars. He looks up and spots her. A spark of hope flashes. Ruyan, are you here to rescue me? He crawls forward on his knees, but his weak body fails. Too weak to move, he collapses. Covered in filth, his trembling fingers desperately grab the hem of her skirt. Liu Ruyan didn't say a word. She just slowly squatted down in front of him. She stared down at him, her eyes completely devoid of warmth and colder than ice. Her voice was low and calm as she asked, "Xie Zhiyu, do you know why I am here?" Xie Zhiyu shook his head, trembling, tears streaming down as he muttered, "I know I was wrong." I was wrong! Liu Ruyan just let out a cold laugh. She threw the files right at his face. Is this your definition of being sorry? Xie Zhiyu looked down at the documents, and his face instantly turned deathly pale. He shook his head like a madman. Not me. Someone set me up, Ruyan. You have to believe me, please. You have to believe me. But Liu Ruyan just leaned down and grabbed his jaw hard. Her grip was so tight it almost crushed his bones as she asked if he thought she would ever believe his lies again.
She let go, pulled out a handkerchief to wipe her hands, her face full of sheer disgust. This single, dismissive action pierced Xie Zhiyu to the core as his pupils shrank in shock.
He lunged forward at Liu Ruyan like a madman, but she easily kicked him away. He collapsed, then screamed hysterically, "Liu Ruyan! You can't treat me like this. I loved you so much. Everything was for you." "For me?" she mocked. Liu Ruyan's gaze went completely cold as she barked, "You did it for your own selfish desires. You destroyed everything between Fang Yuan and me. For me? Since that's the case, it's my turn to return the favor." She turned around and nodded to the doctor waiting at the door. From today on,
His treatment plan will be managed by me personally, as the doctor respectfully handed her a new chart.
Liu Ruyan flipped open the first page, which read Patient 0487's new treatment plan. Electroshock therapy, heavy medication, and permanent confinement? She is absolutely not playing around.
Xie Zhiyu started thrashing around in sheer panic, screaming that she could not do this. I curse you, Liu Ruyan! I curse you to never, ever get Fang Yuan's forgiveness!
Liu Ruyan walked out of the ward without looking back as Xie Zhiyu's agonizing screams echoed behind her.
She stood in the corridor and lit a cigarette, her expression unreadable through the rising haze. The assistant cautiously walked over and spoke softly. President Liu, it is done as you ordered.
The Xie family assets have been completely frozen, and we have restricted his parents' movements as well.
This guarantees they won't find Xie Zhiyu. Liu Ruyan just hummed in response.
Have Dr. Lei leak his embezzlement to the media, because I want him utterly ruined.
The assistant nodded and left. Liu Ruyan crushed her cigarette, staring out at the dark night sky. Honestly, this is low-key heartbreaking. She knows this revenge won't ever heal the pain Fang Yuan suffered.
But at least she would make sure Xie Zhiyu never got the chance to hurt anyone again.
Later, Liu Ruyan stood outside the villa where she and Fang Yuan used to live.
The security footage in her hand had already been replayed by her 1,000,000 times. But Xie Zhiyu had already deleted every single trace of the surveillance records.
0 leads, but her voice was raspy as she ordered them to keep searching. Her eyes were bloodshot as she vowed, even if we have to flip the entire city upside down. We must find him. The assistant trembled with fear as he presented a file. President Liu, Mr. Fang's official identity and registration have been completely deleted. Even his travel history has been erased. Liu Ruyan slammed her fist down in rage. Her knuckles turned white. She used every connection like a crazy woman. She even put out a multi-million-dollar bounty, but Fang Yuan had vanished into thin air like a ghost. He visited every single place they used to go, even their old high school campus. The amusement park, the mountaintop temple, even the overseas city where he once studied. But every single time, he came up empty. And then the nightmare started. In his dreams, Fang Yuan stood in the snow looking freezing cold, accusing Liu Ruyan of pushing him straight into hell. He would wake up in a panic, cold sweat completely soaking his pajamas. His chest ached like a piece of his heart was literally being ripped out, forcing Liu Ruyan to expand his search.
He totally threw his company duties out the window and hopped on a plane.
Jet-setting from one country to another, desperately hoping to catch a glimpse of that familiar face. 3 months later, Liu Ruyan was standing outside a luxury boutique on Avenue Montaigne. He stared blankly at the wedding suit in the window, remembering what Fang Yuan once said. He wanted a simple wedding. No lace, no extra drama. No diamonds either, just the cleanest, purest white. He let out a self-deprecating laugh because those memories had already popped like bubbles. At this point, he has no clue where Fang Yuan is, but then, boom, a familiar figure catches his eye. Messy golden hair, tall build. The way he walked looked exactly like the person in his dreams, making his heart skip a beat. He ran after him on pure instinct, calling out to Fang Yuan, but the man did not look back. The stranger just kept walking, so Liu Ruyan picked up the pace. He reached out to grab his wrist, but the very next second, a sleek black car pulled up right in front of him and the door swung open. A gorgeous woman in a tight purple dress stepped out and hugged the man.
She stood on her tiptoes to whisper in his ear, making him chuckle softly.
When he turned, it was a completely foreign face. Liu Ruyan froze, realizing it was not him. Just a similar silhouette from behind, so he slowly let his hand fall. His throat went tight, and right then, his phone started ringing. His assistant was on the line, carefully reminding President Liu that the banquet was about to start. Liu Ruyan closed his eyes, hung up the phone, and turned to leave. But right as he turned around, inside a cozy cafe on the corner, Fang Yuan slowly set his cup down, his calm gaze sweeping over his ex's departing figure. Bai Ningbing followed his gaze and asked if that was him, but Fang Yuan just looked away. With a gentle nod, he stood up and grabbed Bai Ningbing's hand, telling her it was time to go. Time for the banquet. Soon, Fang Yuan was standing in front of a full-length mirror. He tilted his head slightly to adjust his diamond earring, a faint smirk playing on his lips.
Bai Ningbing's voice echoed from behind, reminding him that Liu Ruyan would also be attending this private banquet. She handed him a glass of champagne, teasing that his focus had been on him the entire time.
Asking if he actually came all this way just for him, Fang Yuan took the glass.
Clinking the rim of the glass with a crisp sound, he told her she was overthinking as they entered the party.
Under the dazzling glow of the crystal chandeliers, Fang Yuan held his champagne with absolute grace.
He was mingling effortlessly with several representatives from European conglomerates.
Fluent French and sharp business insights instantly made him the main attraction of the night.
Oh, wait for it. The moment Liu Ruyan walked in, his eyes were instantly glued to that familiar back.
Every movement had a familiar sharp vibe, making him frown slightly.
Just as he was about to step forward, the man turned and brushed past him.
In that exact split second, he caught a very faint scent of Chinese roses.
Liu Ruyan whipped around, but the figure had already vanished into the crowd.
Wait, who was that gentleman? She stops the waiter to ask. Her voice is dead serious, but the waiter just smiles.
That is Mr. Fang, the founder of that hot new investment firm, FB.
Liu Ruyan's eyes go wide. FB? Wait, could it really be him? No way! Those are literally Fang Yuan's initials. She can't believe it.
But deep down, she is low-key begging that Fang Yuan is finally back.
This is already the third time Bai Ningbing notices Fang Yuan's insane obsession with the Liu group. Standing at the study door, she watches his tall frame sitting stiff under the desk lamp.
His pen aggressively scratches sharp, angry marks across the paper.
Honestly, he doesn't look like he is analyzing data. He is dissecting an enemy. Still looking at the Liu group's reports? Bai Ningbing asks, bringing in hot milk. She steps loudly on purpose, but Fang Yuan's fingers still twitch in panic. He snaps the folder shut, claiming it is just a routine market analysis.
Taking the milk, his face instantly masks with a perfect fake smile. He says he is just studying future rivals, but she doesn't buy his lie.
I mean, for 3 whole months, his obsession with this company
has been completely off the charts, keeping him up until dawn.
But every single time she tries to ask, he shuts her down fast. Especially after that one-sided encounter they had back in Paris.
Don't stay up too late, she says softly, setting the cup down. You have an early meeting tomorrow. Fang Yuan just nods in response.
But his eyes are already glued right back to those files.
Closing the door, she hears the harsh scratching of his pen start up again.
It's like the painful echo of a dark obsession. Then, at 3:17 a.m.,
a blood-curdling scream pierces the quiet villa, making Bai Ningbing bolt straight up.
Her medical instincts kick in instantly, and she realizes it came from Fang Yuan's room. Barefoot and panicking, she sprints down the hall and throws his door wide open.
What she sees next literally stops her heart. Fang Yuan is curled up in a corner.
He is choking himself with his own hands, his face pale as death.
Cold sweat has completely soaked his pajamas, sticking to his thin, fragile back. He is shaking violently, but what truly terrifies her is the look in his eyes. His pupils are totally dilated, and his gaze is completely empty. It is like he is reliving some horrific trauma. Bai Ningbing drops to her knees. Afraid to touch him and trigger him further, she pleads, "Look at me."
Can you hear me?
But there is absolutely no response.
His breathing gets dangerously rapid, and his lips are already turning blue.
This is an acute trauma attack, and she needs to act right now.
Gently grabbing his freezing, sweaty wrist, she tries to ground him. She presses his trembling hand against her chest. "Breathe with me," she commands.
Feel my chest rise and fall, and copy me. Just take it slow. As she keeps a steady pace, she suddenly feels something under her hand. Beneath his sleeve are thick, uneven scars. 1 minute, then 2 minutes pass. Slowly, his breathing sinks with hers, and his eyes start to clear up. Recognizing her, he instantly pulls his hand away and croaks, "I am fine." He panics, pulling his sleeve down to hide the scars, and mumbles a quick apology. Bai Ningbing did not call out his clumsy lie. She just got up and poured some warm water. She smoothly reached over to add a few soothing drops of essential oil to the diffuser.
To help him soothe. "Drink some water first," she told him quietly.
She handed the glass to him, but made sure to keep a very safe distance between them.
Going to get him a towel, she returned from the bathroom to find him sitting.
Fang Yuan had already moved over to the armchair by the window, clutching the glass with both hands.
Staring at the dark night, the moonlight softly traced his profile. Long eyelashes cast faint shadows on his face as Bai Ningbing gently draped the towel over his shoulders. Sitting on the armrest opposite him, she softly asked if he wanted to talk about that nightmare. Her tone was incredibly casual, almost like she was just asking about tomorrow's weather. Fang Yuan kept mindlessly tracing the rim of his glass, and after a long, heavy silence, he suddenly spoke up, asking if she knew how it felt to drown. Bai Ningbing froze for a second as he described the water rushing into his nose, burning like absolute fire, and yet his voice remained incredibly quiet and calm. Like he was telling someone else's story, calmly describing how his lungs would convulse. Trying desperately to breathe, but only sucking in more water, and then he suddenly looked up with hollow eyes. You clearly feel your life slipping away, yet you remain completely powerless. At that moment, Bai Ningbing noticed his left ring finger was twisted at an unnatural angle. A permanent deformity because his broken bone was never treated in time. Left untreated, leaving an ugly, permanent deformity. Suddenly, he stood up and walked over to his desk. He slowly pulled a heavy manila folder straight from the bottom drawer. Telling her she should look at this, he handed the document bag over to Bai Ningbing. She tipped it over and a thick stack of photos and medical records spilled out. Among them was a coffee-stained marriage certificate, exposing his entire tragic past and his real name. The words completely died on her lips because the photos inside were absolutely horrific to look at. They showed Fang Yuan lying in blood with a brutal head wound. The carpet under him was stained a dark, sickening red, and his medical report listed 3 fractured ribs, a completely shattered index finger, and massive fluid accumulation in his lungs. This was all Liu Ruyan's twisted masterpiece, Fang Yuan explained, his voice sounding terrifyingly calm. She was my ex-wife. Then his voice completely trailed off for a moment. His eyes slowly drifted back to that ruined marriage certificate as he corrected himself. No, we actually never had any real relation. He let out a bitter laugh. She actually believed that the helpless person stuffed in that sack was just some thug who bullied her precious lover, but the victim was actually me. Flipping to the next page, Bai Ningbing froze at the surveillance screenshots. A woman was repeatedly pushing a bagged figure off a high platform straight into the water.
And standing right by the pool was an innocent-looking young man watching the whole thing.
Watching with a smug grin, Xie Zhiyu, Fang Yuan pointed directly at him. He was her beloved husband, while I was just a joke to her. Now Bai Ningbing finally understood why he was so obsessed with taking down the entire Liu group. This was never just some simple corporate rivalry. It was pure, unadulterated, bone-deep hatred.
So you are going to completely destroy them, she said, her voice completely flat.
Fang Yuan walked back to the window, the cold moonlight stretching his shadow across the floor. I want to make her taste what it feels like to lose absolutely everything in this world, he whispered, his finger gently brushing. Losing her company, her reputation, her... And then his voice suddenly trailed off.
Bai Ningbing quietly walked up behind him, but did not reach out to touch him.
He softly tells him that revenge is not going to heal the pain.
Then what will? Fang Yuan snaps, spinning around. A dark fire burns in his eyes. He rips open his pajamas, revealing a hideous scar below his collarbone. 99 strikes. He beat himself with a metal rod. Bai Ningbing stares at the scar, suddenly pulling Fang Yuan close into an embrace. Fang Yuan freezes. Then he completely collapses against his chest, all his strength fading away. Resting his chin on him, he says he just hates seeing him get consumed by revenge. Gently holding his scarred fingers, he says these wounds do not define him. Fang Yuan stays quiet. His shirt grows damp with tears as dawn slowly breaks outside.
Looking down at him, Bai Ningbing makes a choice.
He makes a sudden choice. Show me your plan. Demanding every single detail, he makes Fang Yuan look up. Red, swollen eyes flicker. And start over, Bai Ningbing adds, gently wiping away the fresh tear stains.
I will help you, he promises.
Soon, Fang Yuan is mapping out his entire corporate takeover strategy.
His voice is raspy but sharp.
Sunlight hits the messy paperwork, illuminating a tattered marriage certificate.
He stares, then tosses it in the trash.
Now, Fang Yuan stands at the top of the FB Group tower. A cold reflection stares back.
The dark crimson liquid looks exactly like the blood he pooled in that day.
His assistant knocks.
Director Feng, the Liu Group stock just plunged another 5% because of Liu Ruyan.
He takes the report.
A chilling smile creeps onto his face, whispering that this is perfect. His finger taps a specific line.
She is desperately selling off personal assets to cover the debt Xie Zhiyu stole.
Dump all our Liu Group debt, he orders. Shutting the folder, his voice is dead silent. The assistant hesitates, warning him that a fast crash will hurt their own investments. We will lose money.
A sharp light flashes in his eyes. It does not matter, he says.
He does not care about the losses at this point.
All he wants is to watch her lose everything.
Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan is staring at her screen in absolute panic.
Angry shareholders are calling her non-stop. She mutes her phone, furiously demanding to know who is manipulating her stock.
Cold sweat rolls down the assistant's face. The money trace leads to a massive, mysterious new investment firm in Switzerland. No one knows who runs it. Then, boom, she realizes the name is FB.
He mutters the name over and over. Seems like he finally figured it out. Fang Yuan's eyes tremble before his pupils suddenly shrink. He unconsciously grips his pen so hard, the ink bleeds straight through the paperwork. Is he really back? At this point, Fang Yuan is just waiting in a private room. Sitting across from him is the former financial director Xie Lingzi, nervously rubbing his hands. He looks incredibly shifty, asking if Boss Fang will still keep his promise.
Fang Yuan calmly slides a check over, telling him it is just a deposit.
He promises the rest after the job is done, while Xie Lingzi greedily stares at the numbers. The guy nods frantically, assuring him that Liu Ruyan is desperate to save her stock price. She is planning to mortgage key patents, and all it takes is a little sabotage.
No, Fang Yuan cuts him off, his voice soft but absolute. He wants him to help her instead.
Xie Lingji freezes. Wait, what? Sip of red wine in hand, Fang Yuan tells him to stabilize the stock so she thinks she is safe. Bro, his eyes get ice cold. He wants to deliver the fatal blow right when she lets her guard down.
The next day, Liu Ruyan frowns at the suddenly recovering stock price, demanding to know who did it.
Her assistant reports that their own financial director, Xie, contacted several firms to secure the funding.
Xie Lingji? She stays silent for a second before letting out a cold sneer.
Where would he even get that kind of leverage? Her assistant just shakes his head. But the money came through anyway, temporarily taking the massive pressure off the company.
Walking over to the window, she looks out at the brightly lit city skyline. But honestly, she feels like something is way off. Turning around, she orders a deep investigation. Zero relief on her face, despite the stock bounce. She demands to know which specific firms she contacted. And make it fast. Outside, the night is pitch black, literally the calm before the storm.
Meanwhile, Fang Yuan looks over the document from Bai Ningbing and chuckles. Talk about planning ahead.
She already suspects something. Bai Ningbing raises an eyebrow. Is it time to pull the trap?
Not yet. He closes the file, looking out into the empty night sky.
He wants her to come beg him in person, just like he used to plead with her. And honestly, her instincts were spot on. This is where the real trap springs.
Just as her company stock finally stabilizes, all those funding institutions pull the rug simultaneously.
A massive collective withdrawal, sending the company's stock into a total freefall. It literally crashes to an all-time low. She stands frozen by the massive glass window. Her hands are trembling with rage while her assistant stands behind her, too terrified to even breathe. He reports that Xie Lingji has completely vanished off the grid. The entire office goes dead silent. The poor guy is sweating bullets at this point. He knows what he discovered is a total bombshell, and speaking it aloud might end his career. She demands to know who actually owns the corporate entities behind those funding institutions. It is the moment of truth. The assistant closes his eyes in dread. He quietly slides the files onto her desk, telling her they completed the investigation. All those different funding firms are backed by separate shell companies, but get this, every single one of them belongs to FB. Hearing this, Liu Ruyan feels her heart sink.
Honestly, it is not even a surprise. Her gut tells her FB is definitely Fang Yuan.
The mastermind is back for absolute revenge. Now we see her standing outside the FB headquarters looking completely exhausted, her suit all wrinkled.
Her eyes are bloodshot. She has literally been waiting out here for 3 straight days. But the reception keeps shutting her down with the same polite, icy rejection every single time. The guards are on high alert, ordered to block her every attempt to break in.
But she cannot take it anymore, growling in a terrifyingly low voice to get out of the way. Before the guard can even react, Liu Ruyan shoves him aside. She storms toward the elevator, absolutely determined to see Fang Yuan today. The penthouse office door slams open, revealing Fang Yuan sitting by the window with his back to her. His pen glides across the document, leaving a sharp and decisive mark.
President Liu, he says without even looking back, trespassing into another company is a crime.
I can easily call the police, he warns, making Liu Ruyan's breath instantly hitch.
That voice. The exact same voice she has heard in her dreams countless times. Now it is right in front of her, but colder than a total stranger.
Yuan, she rasps, taking a step forward. I know it is you.
Fang Yuan finally turns around, sunlight pouring in from the massive window behind him.
The light silhouettes his tall frame, and honestly, he looks incredibly handsome now. But the gentle voice that used to hold her and whisper sweet words is completely gone.
Call me Fang, he corrects her, lightly tapping the nameplate on his desk. Or you can call me President Fang, he adds, as her chest heaves with emotion.
I finally found out the truth about Xie Zhiyu, she says, stepping forward quickly. She slams her hands on his desk, shouting that Xie Zhiyu set up everything himself.
He was lying to me the whole time, and I actually believed him.
I thought you hired that thug to hurt him. Fang Yuan just stares at her in silence. There is not a single spark of emotion in his eyes, making her voice falter. If I had only known it was you, how could I have ever done that?
Never what?
Fang Yuan suddenly lets out a cold laugh.
Like pushing me off that stage yourself? Or breaking my ribs with an iron rod?
Or maybe never crush my fingers? He casually presses a button on his remote. The projector screen slowly rolls down, showing a video of a sack sliding off. It reveals Fang Yuan's pale, bloody face, while Liu Ruyan just watches coldly. Xie Zhiyu stands right behind her, a smug, triumphant smirk on his face. You can even hear his painful groans as the iron rod repeatedly breaks his bones. Liu Ruyan instantly turns pale. Do you need me to keep playing? He asks. Fang Yuan props up his chin, asking her in a completely casual tone. There's plenty more, like the footage of you holding Xie Zhiyu. And calling him your husband? Liu Ruyan is left completely speechless.
Staring at his cold expression, her knees suddenly slam heavily onto the floor.
I am so sorry, she weeps, her trembling fingers desperately grabbing his clothes. You truly did not know, she begs, but Fang Yuan just looks down at her. Honestly, it is just pathetic. The once high and mighty female CEO Liu Ruyan is reduced to this. She is now begging on her knees in front of him like a total loser. Liu Ruyan squeezes her eyes shut. After a long, heavy silence, she finally speaks.
She looks up and asks what she has to do to earn his forgiveness.
Fang Yuan pulls a document from his drawer and slides it over to her. It is the share acquisition agreement for your family group. Sign it, he says coldly. I am buying out every single share you own at market price. Liu Ruyan freezes in shock. You want my entire family company? Fang Yuan stands up, his sharp footsteps echoing across the marble floor. With a sharp tap, he leaned down and lightly poked the contract. I want you to personally hand the Liu Group over to me, he says, not even trying to hide his real motives.
Then I will watch it fall apart, piece by piece, right in my hands.
You can actually feel the dread as her fingertips tremble over the contract.
She knows what this means, surrendering everything her family built over the years.
But if she refuses, she loses her only chance to win him back. Fang Yuan just watches her squirm. Suddenly feeling bored, he shrugs. I will give you 3 days to think it over. He turns toward the massive window, his back looking cold and completely out of reach. But Liu Ruyan, do not forget one thing. You have absolutely no right to negotiate with me anymore. Cut to the Liu Group penthouse boardroom. Outside, the city lights are glowing, and Fang Yuan is sitting right at the head of the table.
He gently taps his fingers on the table, looking at a stack of documents. All of them are asset division agreements waiting to be signed. Around the long table,
The same executives who used to bow to Liu Ruyan are now keeping their heads down. They are barely even breathing, absolutely terrified of breaking his train of thought.
sell off the new energy department and merge the medical branch into the Fang Group.
His voice is so calm, he might as well be talking about the weather. As for the empty shell of a company that is left, just keep it. The CFO cautiously speaks up. Mr. Fang, what about the Liu brand name? Fang Yuan looks up, his lips curling into a freezing smirk. The Liu brand, he says, slowly standing up as his sharp dress shoes click on the marble.
That crisp sound feels like a death knell echoing in everyone's chest.
From this day forward, the Liu Group is officially history.
He slides the final document down the table to the woman sitting silently at the end.
It stops right in front of Liu Ruyan. The cover reads, Notice of Job Reassignment. Talk about a brutal reality check. She keeps the title, but all real power is stripped.
She even has to send Fang Yuan daily reports now. She just stares at the paper.
Her fingers are trembling, but she makes no move to pick it up. Fang Yuan looks at her and lets out a soft laugh. What, not satisfied, President Liu? The room is dead silent. Liu Ruyan slowly lifts her head up. Her once razor-sharp eyes are completely lifeless now, like her soul was entirely drained. After a few agonizing seconds of silence, she finally picks up the pen. She signs her name on the paper. The next day, her assistant drops off a folder. The secretary lays it on her desk with a polite tone. But behind those eyes, there is nothing but pity. Liu Ruyan numbly flips it open.
It is a maintenance report, tracking things as absurd as cleaning the office logo.
How many times the sign was wiped down and when the plants were watered. The front desk visitor count is 0. She closes her eyes and signs it anyway. This is Fang Yuan's petty rule. She has to sign off on this nonsense herself. Just to prove she is repenting daily in this empty shell of a company. At an outdoor cafe, Fang Yuan is carefully slicing his steak, the blade scraping against the ceramic. Making a soft screeching sound, you still cut your steak so violently. Bai Ningbing chuckles and smoothly slides his plate over to her side. She cuts it into perfect bite-sized pieces for him, like she is dissecting a rival. Fang Yuan raises an eyebrow as Bai Ningbing slides the plate back to him.
She gently taps the back of his hand, softly asking him how revenge tastes.
He stares out at the lake, watching the warm sunlight shatter into millions of golden ripples on the water. It is emptier than I ever imagined, he whispers. Bai Ningbing gazes at his profile and suddenly mentions that there is an astronomy exhibit tonight. Do you want to go? An astronomy exhibit? He smiles slightly. She reminds him that he loved stargazing as a kid. Fang Yuan pauses, realizing he actually did say that. It was a long time ago, on a heavily drunken night. He never expected her to remember the stars, not after all this time. Fang Yuan looks up as the simulated Milky Way slowly swirls above them, while Bai Ningbing stands right behind him, quietly watching his back.
That is Altair in the constellation Aquila, she explains, leaning in close to whisper.
According to the legends, Altair and the Weaver Girl can only meet once a year. Fang Yuan chuckles softly. Isn't that just a tragedy? But at least they get to reunite every single year, Bai Ningbing murmurs quietly. Isn't that true? Fang Yuan turns his head and suddenly notices something. Under the soft blue light, her eyelashes look incredibly long, almost dusted with starlight. Just as they drift closer to each other, a harsh, furious scream of his name suddenly shatters the quiet from behind. He turns to see his ex, Liu Ruyan, standing there, pale as a ghost. Her eyes are completely bloodshot, glaring intensely at their locked hands with pure rage. Who is she? Her chest heaves violently under the cold hallway lights of the planetarium. He just leans against the wall, casually adjusting his cuffs without a single care.
Do I need to remind you, President Liu, your behavior right now is straight up stalking and harassment.
Her fists clench so hard they pop as she snaps, "I asked you, who is she?" Meet Bai Ningbing. He smiles coldly. She is my partner, my girlfriend, and my future wife. Take your pick, but those two words, future wife, absolutely destroy her. Stabbed straight into Liu Ruyan's heart like a knife, she suddenly lunges forward and grabs his wrist.
We haven't even divorced yet. Fang Yuan looks down at her hand, gripping him.
He bursts out laughing. Divorce? Liu Ruyan? Really?
Did you forget our marriage certificate was completely fake? He slowly pulls his hand back.
He pulls up an official document on his phone, showing it to her.
Invalid marriage registration. Need a reminder?
He leans in close to her ear, his voice sounding like a hissing viper.
Your actual legal husband is rotting in prison right now. Liu Ruyan stumbles back, completely shell-shocked. Looking like all the life has been completely drained out of her body, she watches Bai Ningbing step out of the shadows.
Hand in her pocket, she naturally loops her arm through his. "Miss Liu," she says with absolute calm, "if you keep harassing my boyfriend, we will file for a restraining order."
Staring intensely at that hand on his arm, memories from many years ago suddenly flood back to her. She used to do the exact same thing under the school's cherry blossoms, claiming him in front of everyone.
Fang Yuan is mine, and nobody gets to touch him. Now, the tables have turned. She is the one getting warned, and honestly, you'll love to see it. Karma hits incredibly hard. Later, on the drive back to the city, Fang Yuan watches the city lights blur past the window, asking if he was maybe a bit too cruel back there. With one hand on the wheel, she gently places her other hand right over his.
This is absolutely nothing compared to the awful things she did to you.
He looks down at their joined hands, suddenly realizing that somewhere along the way, everything shifted. Revenge stopped being the only reason he had left to keep living in this world. The car's sunroof slowly slides back, revealing a stunning sky full of stars. Bai Ningbing's voice drifts in with the night wind, pointing out Vega as Fang Yuan looks up. Honestly, this is the first time he realizes the night sky doesn't have to feel so lonely. But just a few steps behind them, Liu Ruyan is lurking right in the shadows, absolutely glaring at the exact spot where Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing are sitting. She is thinking, "Fang Yuan, you were just trying to trigger me. You definitely still love me. You found this girl just to force me to beg you, right?" Her eyes turn dark as she seemingly makes a desperate final decision. Next thing we know, rain is pouring down on the concrete outside the Liu Group headquarters. The wet asphalt is literally shining as Liu Ruyan kneels right there in the downpour. Her suit is completely soaked, with her long hair plastered messily across her forehead. Her knees are sunk deep in the dirty puddles, yet she stubbornly keeps her head up. She keeps her eyes locked on that brightly lit window on the very top floor.
She knows Fang Yuan is up there, and she cries out his name, voice completely hoarse.
Her desperate plea to see him one last time is almost drowned out by the thunder.
Finally, the lobby revolving doors slide open, and a few security guards walk out carrying black umbrellas.
The captain sighs, telling her that President Fang has given them strict orders. If she does not leave, they will remove her by force, but Liu Ruyan just scoffs. Rain drips down her chin as she tells them to let Fang Yuan throw her out himself. The guards just look at each other completely helpless and pull out their walkie-talkie. After a brief reply crackles from the other side, the guards look extremely hesitant.
They exchange one hesitant look, and then they actually drag out a massive bucket.
Next second, a whole bucket of ice-cold water is dumped straight over her head. The freezing cold hits her like a truck, instantly draining all the color from her lips. She starts shivering uncontrollably as we pan up to the penthouse window. Fang Yuan is watching this whole tragic scene with zero emotion, lightly tapping his Bluetooth earpiece. His voice crackles through the guard's radio, asking if she thinks this pity act actually works. It is brutal and direct, reminding her of the time she literally broke his bones. He tells her he never got the chance to kneel and beg, then the scene cuts. The next morning, Liu Ruyan wakes up in her suite only to find her cards deactivated. Her phone is blowing up with spam calls from her bank manager, filling the screen. She quickly calls back, and the manager delivers some absolutely devastating news.
Every single one of her personal bank accounts and overseas trust funds has been completely frozen. Her knuckles turn white, clutching the phone as she realizes Fang Yuan is utterly ruining her.
Without her family money, she realizes she cannot even pay for her basic hotel room anymore. She lets out a hollow laugh, sounding like harsh sandpaper as she gasps out his name. She whispers that he left her absolutely no escape, but his revenge is just starting.
Cut to the massive company shareholder meeting where Fang Yuan is sitting right at the head. He slowly taps the table, announcing that they have a very special segment today.
A cold smile plays on his face as he looks down at the crowd.
He tells everyone to welcome Liu Ruyan to read an exemplary business text aloud.
Standing pale in the corner, she is tightly clutching a stack of faded yellowing paper.
It is the exact love letter she wrote him when she was 18 years old.
Every single line is filled with her childhood promises as Fang Yuan softly tells her to read. He mocks her writing style while the entire room goes absolutely dead silent. Liu Ruyan's hand is shaking like crazy, but he still forces himself to flit open the first page. Yuan, I saw you wearing a white shirt today, and my heart beat so fast, I thought I was literally going to die. His voice is completely dry, and by the third page, his Adam's apple is bobbing violently. Can we get married when I turn 22? I promise I will love you for the rest of my life. Loving only you? By now, his voice is so hoarse it is barely even recognizable. But he still forces out every single word of all 20 pages, and the moment he hits that final sentence, the entire room is so quiet you could hear a pin drop, and several female staff are already tearing up. Meanwhile, Fang Yuan just stands there smiling the entire time, and he even starts clapping when it ends. What a truly splendid performance, he calmly comments. Too bad it is all just a pack of lies. Talk about a brutal plot twist. Liu Ruyan snaps his head up. You can see something in his eyes completely shatter. Of course, this massive drama instantly sparks a huge uproar inside the company, right before Bai Ningbing kicks the office door wide open. He slams a thick stack of documents onto the desk, sending the papers flying all over the place. Revealing the medical report sitting right on top, Liu Ruyan is suffering from severe clinical depression.
Along with severe stomach bleeding, take a look at this, Bai Ningbing demands, his voice as cold as ice.
If things keep going like this, he is going to die. But Fang Yuan just glances down coldly. You can see his fingers twitch for a split second, but he quickly recovers his calm composure. He just takes a slow sip of his coffee and asks with absolutely zero emotion, "So what?"
Bai Ningbing stares at him and suddenly lets out a laugh, but his eyes are totally dead.
So when exactly did you become such a monster, Fang Yuan? He takes a dangerous step closer, tapping his long fingers against the paper, making a dull, heavy thud that echoes in the room. Was taking everything from him not enough? Forcing him to crawl to you and report like a dog every day? Is that still not enough? Do you literally need to see him in the ICU? Whew, talk about final boss energy from Fang Yuan. The coffee cup burns slightly against his palm as he mutters, I never forced him to do anything. He looks up with pure ice in his eyes. Is this really what he deserves? Bai Ningbing snaps back. Bai Ningbing suddenly leans down, slamming both hands onto the armrests of Fang Yuan's office chair, trapping him in this tight, suffocating space. Then why are you too afraid to look at me? Fang Yuan's breath completely hitches, and Bai Ningbing drops his voice to a low whisper, carrying a strange, incredibly heavy undertone. Fang Yuan, is it because you never actually let him go? The office falls into a dead, heavy silence while the rain beats relentlessly against the window pane, sounding just like a ticking countdown before Fang Yuan finally sets down his coffee. The bottom of the cup clinks softly as it makes contact with the desk. I didn't, he finally mutters, his voice sounding incredibly soft. Yet it feels like he used every ounce of strength just to squeeze those words out. Bai Ningbing doesn't budge. He stays locked in that overwhelming, highly oppressive stance, his sharp gaze cutting into Fang Yuan's face like a knife. Then why are you too cowardly to admit you went way too far? Fang Yuan suddenly snaps and stands straight up. Their faces are practically nose to nose.
Bai Ningbing, do you have any single idea what I actually went through?
Do you know what I know? Bai Ningbing instantly cuts him off.
His voice suddenly softens as he whispers, "But the current you."
How are you any different from the Liu Ruyan of back then? These words hit like a brutal slap.
Slamming right into Fang Yuan's face as he stumbles backward a step, completely dazed.
His chest is heaving violently. Honestly, when on earth did he turn into such a monster?
Just for revenge, he can stand by and watch Liu Ruyan literally wither away day by day. He can precisely calculate every single drop of his pain, and even low-key enjoy his mental breakdown. But wait, isn't this exactly what Liu Ruyan did to him back then? Honestly, this cyclical trauma is low-key heartbreaking. Bai Ningbing sighs, gently touching his cheek.
Let hatred burn too long, and it will burn you to ashes.
He shuts his eyes. A single tear falls as his secretary slams the door open. Boss, 3 private equity funds join Liu Group.
They are launching a hostile takeover, and Fang Yuan snaps awake. When did this happen? Just 30 minutes ago. They already grabbed 12% of our shares and keep sweeping. She hands him a tablet showing the person leading this.
It is their former CFO on screen.
With a shady smile, he claims their methods were always controversial.
We're just taking back what is ours. Fang Yuan clenches his fists until his nails draw blood.
Zhe Linji, the exact CFO he had once bribed to turncoat.
Emergency meeting now, Fang Yuan orders coldly. Trace their funds immediately, but Bai Ningbing suddenly interrupts. He was probably faking it from the very start.
Fang Yuan whips his head around in shock. She nods, her expression incredibly complicated.
He was likely never loyal to anyone but himself.
Fang Yuan's mind starts racing at lightning speed.
Wait, if that is true, then this plot twist changes everything.
It is actually simpler than he thought.
He grabs his coat and orders a car to the Liu Group. Where are you going, she asks, and he answers, to find Liu Ruyan.
Fang Yuan pushes the door open. Her back looks fragile, almost like a fading shadow.
She slowly turns, pain flashing deep in her eyes.
What a rare guest. Her hoarse voice asks if he is here to inspect her. He slides the tablet over.
Her brow furrows as she claims she had no idea.
Zhe Linji is your man, he says. Used to be, she whispers, looking straight at him.
Just like I used to be yours. The tension here is on another level as they lock eyes.
I need your help, he says.
Liu Ruyan freezes as rain pours outside like heavy tears.
Why? She asks softly. He stays quiet before giving an answer that surprises even himself.
Only you know how they operate.
But that is not the real reason he is here.
The moment he saw her medical files, his heart shattered.
Liu Ruyan stares at him and suddenly laughs. A tired, relieved smile as she pulls out a document. She slides over a file, a complete list of dirt and connections on her family's old faction. It is enough to take them down. Fang Yuan cracks open the folder.
His eyes widen. The amount of detail in here is actually insane.
This wasn't put together overnight. She has been prepping for this day for a long time. Liu Ruyan stays silent. She just walks over to the coat rack and grabs her blazer.
She tells him to move out while she still knows how to play the boss. Her posture, dead straight. It is like she instantly found her old business mogul edge again. This is probably the last thing she can do to help him. Cut to the Liu Group boardroom. Fang Yuan slides the final paperwork down the long table. Everyone's severance has officially cleared.
He scans the room of miserable-looking board members, his voice cold and steady. As of today, the Liu Group is officially done with all of you. The CFO starts shaking. But President Fang, we have served the Liu family for 30 years.
Honestly, Fang Yuan is being way too nice here, giving them double severance to leave.
Fang Yuan taps his fingers on the table, instead of rotting in a cell. Counting down the days in prison. The entire boardroom goes dead silent in an instant. Over in the corner, Liu Ruyan just keeps her head down. Her wrinkled blazer is still damp from the rainy night. She doesn't say a single word. She looks like a hollow shell of herself. Once the room empties out,
Liu Ruyan is still sitting in her seat. Fang Yuan snaps his folder shut.
She suddenly reaches out to grab the files, her knuckles turning completely white.
She asks if they really don't have a single chance left. Fang Yuan looks down at her hands. There is a fresh cut on her palm from when she smashed her mirror the night before.
He suddenly remembers years ago when a teenage Liu Ruyan climbed a wall to bring him strawberries. She tore her hand on the wire, but just smiled and said it didn't hurt. He asks her in a quiet voice if she knows what he was thinking while trapped in that sack. He was hoping she would look back at him just once. Liu Ruyan's eyes widen in sheer horror. But she never did.
Fang Yuan coldly pulls the file out of her grip.
No shot. His answer is a flat-out no, not a single chance. Bai Ningbing's advice flashes through his mind, and honestly, she was completely right. The best revenge is total indifference. He turns and walks over to the floor-to-ceiling windows. The sun breaks through the clouds, painting his silhouette in a warm, golden light. A few days pass, and Fang Yuan suddenly gets a message from an unknown number. It is a video. On screen, Liu Ruyan is kneeling on some incredibly steep temple stairs. Forehead pressed to the stone, bowing deeply with every single step. Dark red blood stains the stairs. Her knees are worn down to a bloody mess. This is the exact temple where she once prayed for his safety. His assistant whispers in the background. He reports that President Liu has been kneeling for 3 days, begging for forgiveness.
Talk about cold. Fang Yuan shuts the video and tells him to delete it.
He walks over to his safe and pulls out a stock transfer agreement. He signs his name, pauses for a second, and then pulls out a small sticky note. His pen hovers over the paper before he finally writes down 3 simple words. We are even. By the time Liu Ruyan receives the package, she is resting in a quiet temple room. She is burning up with a massive fever, completely out of it. The monk hands her some hot tea and sighs, explaining how her obsession only destroys everyone.
Her hands shake as she tears the envelope open, and the stock transfer papers slide out.
The draft from the window catches that sticky note, letting it drift right onto his chest. Dazed, Fang Yuan remembers waiting in the freezing snow back when he was 20. His nose was bright red from the cold, but he just smiled at Liu Ruyan, saying he finally found her, but now he is finally done waiting. As the season's first snow quietly falls outside, Bai Ningbing pulls his car up in the suburbs, stopping right outside a sleek, pure white building, admitting he wanted to wait until it was finished. But as he opens the car door, Fang Yuan playfully scratches his palm, teasing that a certain workaholic has been keeping him waiting way too much.
Asking if Dr. Bai is complaining before leaning up to gently bite his ear.
Reminding him he's been ignored for 3 days and 7 hours as they step inside. A red silk sheet covers a plaque at the end of the hall as Bai Ningbing covers his eyes. Counting down 3 seconds, the soft rustle of sliding fabric echoes through the dark.
Opening his eyes to see the engraving, the Fang Yuan Trauma Research Center gleaming.
Glowing under the spotlights, where all profits will fund research into post-traumatic stress. Bai Ningbing whispers that this includes finding a cure for those old knee injuries. Staring up at the plaque, Fang Yuan feels a sudden lump in his throat. The old scars from kneeling on prayer beads back then, he actually remembered them. By some wild coincidence, the floor-to-ceiling window in the lounge faces the old Liu building, directly overlooking his ex's territory while Fang Yuan quietly reviews some medical data. Suddenly, a strange shifting light catches his attention on the ceiling, making him look up. Blue laser text flashes on the wall about a kite stuck in a tree, freezing him completely. No shot, she is literally using their childhood secret code from when they were 16. Reminding him of the day she broke her arm for him, smiling and telling him not to cry. Insisting she was fine, while over on the opposite roof, a thin silhouette leans on the railing. The laser pointer in her hand keeps dancing, and even across 100 meters of empty space,
He instantly recognizes Liu Ruyan, still wearing the school uniform jacket from their first meeting.
standing there like a stubborn ghost while a brand new message flashes across his wall. Promising to catch him this time, but Fang Yuan just stares at it for 3 cold seconds. He abruptly gets up and yanks the curtains shut, plunging the entire room into total darkness. Instantly dialing Bai Ningbing, telling him to get to the lounge right now. His voice sounds terrifyingly calm as he tells him to grab what's in the locker room.
Specifically, the ring in the second drawer, causing a loud crash on the other end.
Bai Ningbing's breath catches completely, panicking as he asks when he found out.
Watching the thin sliver of light filtering through the curtains, Fang Yuan smiles.
Pointing out that he left chalk dust on his hand when measuring his finger.
Outside, that desperate laser still claws at the heavy curtains, throwing faint spots onto the floor.
He steps right on the light, hearing panicked footsteps sprinting down the hall outside. Suddenly dropping the doctor title, demanding Bai Ningbing get inside right this second. The door slams open, revealing him clutching a velvet ring box in his hand.
He's completely out of breath, but his eyes are shining with absolute hope. At their feet, the desperate laser flickers one last time before going completely dead.
Finally, Fang Yuan gets the exact wedding he had always dreamed of. No flashy drama, just holding hands with the person who actually cares. Exchanging rings under the stars on a mountain peak in the Alps. Surrounded by just a few close friends, clinking glasses against the quiet mountain breeze. A sharp, crisp crack, like a heart shattering. Did you expect a grander wedding?
Fang Yuan kisses her fingertips. Bai Ningbing looks at the starry sky.
Only the famous understand how precious silence is. A server brings over a mountain of gifts, but a dark ebony box instantly stands out. Fang Yuan opens the box. His fingers actually tremble. Inside is the exact prayer beads Liu Ruyan once gifted to Xie Zhiyu. Each sandalwood bead gleams with a polished shine, showing it had been held for a long time. The note says, "This time, please stay safe." Bai Ningbing immediately sends the box to a temple, but Fang Yuan just chuckles. He loops the beads onto the bouquet. Honestly, that is some legendary level pettiness. Meanwhile, inside a locked psychiatric ward, the TV is showing their grand wedding. Xie Zhiyu claws his emaciated fingers against the glass, ignoring his nails splitting and dripping blood. "I am the real husband," he screams, shattering a glass. "Look at me! Am I not younger and more handsome than him?" But the guard ignores him. They drag him back like a dead dog. Honestly, he brought this on himself. Patient 0487 is losing it again, the nurse writes in her log. 7 self-harm incidents today, already. Suddenly, Xie Zhiyu screams, knocking over a mirror and demanding to know what it is. "Who sent this? Tell me."
That face of his used to look exactly like Fang Yuan.
Now it is covered in horrific scars and his right eye cannot even fully close. The guard watches coldly. It was an anonymous donation. Rules are rules. You have to keep it, while Xie Zhiyu desperately claws his face. Blood everywhere. He recognizes this exact mirror. Carved on the frame is a tiny, mocking question. "Look at you now. Who do you look like?" He goes wild, smashing the mirror against the wall. Outside, a black crow flies past the iron bars with a loud, piercing screech. Talk about instant karma. Meanwhile, in a dusty, temporary clinic in the African desert, Liu Ruyan is kneeling on the dirt, bandaging a kid's wound under the scorching, skin-peeling sun. Her designer clothes are replaced by a cheap, wrinkle linen shirt. A little local boy timidly hands her a dirty, melted candy. This instantly takes her back to 18-year-old Fang Yuan, who always hid strawberry candy in her textbooks. Suddenly, her phone buzzes with a massive breaking news notification. SPY just went public today with its valuation soaring past 100 billion. The nurse gasps, shocked. This quiet Chinese doctor actually has a high school boy as her lock screen wallpaper. The boy in the photo is smiling under a cherry tree. Midnight in New York, fireworks paint the sky. A celebration gift. She hugs Fang Yuan from behind, resting her chin on his shoulder. Is this better than Liu Ruyan's amusement park? He spins around to kiss Bai Ningbing. Talk about a major upgrade. "You are 10 times better than her." And right then, fireworks burst directly above them, lighting up the endless, glowing night skyline of Wall Street.